3 rappers recently canceled, why and how it affects hip-hop and society. Today's features have all been recently canceled within the past 2 years whose music at the time was or had the chance to have a lasting effect in popular music, until for these reasons they have been removed from popular streaming platforms at the peak of their ascendance and now seem to slowly fade away by the day. We all understand how fast the hip-hop game moves these days, with new artists on the rise every 3 to 6 months and older rappers doing whatever to keep their names still in the mix. So being canceled in this environment can actually mean forever. Social media has it to where the masses can attack you at one time and it directly affects your brand, even if you try to ignore it, mostly if you try to ignore it. For the Baby, Tory Lanez, and Travis Scott, this hasn't been the easiest time for them, or celebrities in general. To be fans of them may be even harder without their music easily accessible like it once was, or the ability to see them live at shows, or even on large platforms in interview form, because at the moment they're all staying low and working on their next PR moves. But the reality is, this is the time we're living in, where anyone is an open book and able to be attacked publicly for their mistakes and missteps and even lose their livelihood on the judgment of others. Canceling has been happening to celebrities for a while now, but it's interesting to see it happen all while all 3 were right about to take the next step into superstardom in their careers. Some more than others, but regardless, the potential was real. The following was crazy, and the opportunity was there. Sadly, for these reasons, Travis Scott, the Baby, and Tory Lanez were all canceled. 3 hard-working, talented black providers for more than just their families have to figure a way from under the heavy foot of cancel culture in its attempt to adjust the game. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Travis Scott, aka Jaquise Berman Webster II, born April 30th, 1991.
Hold on. Yo, let's get a medic out there. Everybody over here, take a step back. If you're on this side, y'all take 2 steps back to the right.
As the direct inspiration for this story, I decided to begin with Travis Scott. He's also the most popular and highest selling of the 3 that stands to lose the most from being canceled. His reason for being canceled is because of his behavior and how he dealt with the November 2021 Astroworld Festival crowd crush that saw the loss of 10 lives and hundreds injured. The youngest was reportedly a 9-year-old boy that was a huge fan of Travis, on the shoulder of his father awaiting the performance when he was crushed by hostile fans rushing the stage to see Travis Scott up close. The event was more than a creepy event to say the least, and maybe artists using certain rituals and imagery to add hype or depth to their created character finally caught up to at least this artist. In footage of the Astroworld incident, you can see Travis trying to calm the parts of the crowd he could see, even stopping or slowing the music so he could help one person in particular. To no avail. The crowd frenzy was too lit, as Scott often says, with no regard for the safety of others, probably high on drugs, stomping their way through a show they didn't know would be canceled anyway. Scott the next day attempted to calm the tsunami with a saddened video of apology and reassurance after, but it only made him look worse in the public eye as they accused him of not being genuine. He's even become the focus of a criminal investigation. Yes, he can even face charges or jail time for people in the crowd dying because he's the name on the show. But to me, he tried. Artists have so much build-up and preparation to get on a stage and perform that I understand him not thinking about those things while performing. Also, you have to remember, this was a first of his generation. Should we expect him to react in a way he could save someone from being crushed in a sea of thousands of people? He's also always been an awkwardly introverted person off the stage. Should we expect him to not look awkward in an apology video while still in shock? To me, that was the moment he realized things were going to change. Knowing the loss of life, loss of plans for the upcoming year as an artist, and 750 million loss taken by his brand, I would be awkward too. But he didn't pass the charisma test and was canceled by society and held responsible for the outcome. He's been removed from playlists, no one would promote him right now, much less be seen with him, and his music doesn't look to sell at the same rate as his previous. Huge blow for Travis Scott that I don't see blowing over anytime soon. Tory Lanez, aka Daystar Peterson, born July 27, 1992. In 2020, the world entered the biggest pandemic arguably ever that forced everyone to adjust to doing things like wearing masks and even quarantining themselves, staying inside the house on mandatory lockdown from the world. Tory Lanez, during this time of lockdown, came up with the bright idea to start an in-home, Instagram-based comedy and strip show basically called Quarantine Radio. At the beginning of the year, it was the hottest thing moving on the internet as he broke records for live views daily. He had almost everyone tune in and fellow rappers joined the party as well. This gave Tory a chance to show his charm and charisma as everyone bored at home had no choice but to check it out. What came from this was a resurgence for Tory and his music with potential TV and movie deals, music sales, and free promotion for his next album. What also may have come with this is the feeling of untouchable and uncontrolled with such rising fame that a mistake was most likely going to happen. To whom much is given, much emotional strength is needed at all times. In July of 2020, a shooting happened involving Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion, with Meg releasing multiple accounts of being shot by Lanez. Of course, Tory denied the claims but hasn't divulged what fully happened, nor can we believe any of the two without investigative facts to prove it exactly. In the meantime, he's been canceled and named to removed from playlisting, streaming platforms, and as a feature on artist songs who don't want the negative publicity. He tried to fight it by dropping an album that explains everything, but to no avail. Arguably his best work, but won't be heard or recognized as such, and it's all because of that shooting incident. Unlike Travis, I don't think Tory will ever fully recover from this. Travis makes too much money for companies for them to allow him to go down. Lanez doesn't have that. If his fans can't get new music because he's laying low, that incident can cost him his career. The Baby, aka Jonathan Lindale Kirk, born December 22nd, 1991.
Show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone like that. Fellas, lights up. Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights up.
Last but not least, The Baby being canceled for homophobic references at his July 2021 show, deemed offensive by the gay community. Sadly for The Baby, they run the industry he's a part of, and much more than that when speaking of power positions in general. To me, he did nothing wrong. What he said wasn't even that bad if he didn't word it so aggressively and vulgar. But you know what? It wasn't even that got him canceled. He was actually canceled because of how he reacted to the news of his possible cancellation. Defiance and confusion as to who he actually was and his place within the industry he signed up for. Instead of a hasty apology for the comments that could be seen as attacking another community, he released an Instagram post about being the influence and how he can't be canceled and how pretty much he's untouchable. The next day, his attempt at a formal apology came on the advice of his label, but no one cared. He said what he said, and that was that. Canceled. I understand it too. As an artist, never assume you run anything until there's paperwork that says you own it. There's no way possible The Baby owns anything in music, much less influence. Who's influenced by The Baby? Yes, they like your music, but influence? You was just wearing a diaper in public a few years ago. Haven't seen that trend. Must have missed it. He was taking off features with artists like Kanye West and the all-anticipated Donda album, along with everyone pretty much who had scheduled projects in 2021. Removed from playlisting as well and lost that influential buzz he thought he had just last year in the most avoidable way possible. Now, for him, I don't see a major comeback. He'll always have music releases, but the height he was at, I don't see him being the artist that kisses the ring and apologizes for real, tears and all. All in all, these three talented artists deserve a second chance. Unfortunately, in the society we live in, that's not a guarantee. I think after a while, Travis will be fine. His music was too meaningful to the masses, and it really wasn't his fault. Tory Lanez needs the outcome of the situation with Meg Thee Stallion to be a positive one. He has to first beat the charges, then make amends with Meg to gain the female fans that are torn between the two back. As far as the baby and who he once was, I think it's over for him. He wasn't special enough. He caught a wave and then he jumped off the board in the worst way. Toxic defiance. At least that's how they'll see it. Hopefully they all can get back to the music and everything else works itself out. But for these reasons, their growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.